Welcome everyone to the Tater Barksdale podcast. Today we talking about our city in crisis. We talking about Baltimore City. We talking about the violence and how violence has plagued our city. You know, in our city, the number one cause for death for youth between the ages of 14 and 34 is homicide. We live in a city where 30% of our youth grow up in poverty. We live in a city where our kids believe that by the time they 25, that they'll be dead or in prison. In 2018, Baltimore City experienced 313 homicides, which have been going on since, I don't know when, the early 90s. But since the Freddie Gray riots in 2015, homicide has constantly risen in Baltimore City. Today, I got two guests with me. I got Positive Impact 410 with Dennis Wise, and I got the Challenge for Change with Uncle T and myself, Tater Barksdale. And we're sitting here and we're going to have a discussion about homicides, how it's plaguing our city, and how our city is in crisis. Now, people talk about, guys, the city being better back then, and they talk about it being worse now, right? I just want both of you guys to give us a little insight, and what do you believe and what is your perception about the city back then and the city now? Any one of y'all?
Well, some people say it was right back then or it was wrong back then. You know, it's wrong anyhow, back then or now. The difference was our acceptance. We knew less back then, you know. Our understanding where it was going. Right now, we see it full blown. See 16, 15-year-old kids getting shot down, 13-year-old kids getting shot down. So it's right in our face right now, so naturally we see it. Back then, the advantage was we had reinforcements, which means that inside the household, you had somebody, a aunt, a granny, mother, father, somebody telling you what to do. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you got a straight influence, then you have somebody inside the house trying to save you. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of households don't have anybody in the house that does, they don't have an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the kids are raising themselves.
Right.
You know, I mean, they got to buy their own lunch, their own breakfast, their own dinner. They don't have jobs, so what are they going to do? Right. They hit the street. And you got so many of them hitting the street at the same time, going for the same buck. They bump heads, they clash. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I think makes it seem like it's a lot worse right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what's your take on it, Uncle T? I mean, do you have a perspective on it?
I mean, it's basically, you know, reiterating the same thing. You know, Big Brother Dennis just spoke on. I would just add it by saying that, you know, the parents, man, they was at liberty to discipline their kids back then. You know, even auntie up the street, you know, they you know, auntie up the street or next door neighbor up the street catch you out of pocket, man. They was given, they had the privilege of spanking your tail and then taking you to your mom's and you get another spanking. So, you know, that whole discipline piece has been taken from us. So parents are being threatened at the thought of putting their hands on their kids and discipline them today. So we lost a lot of that, you know, when that was taken out of the hands of the parents.
Yeah.
Another thing was, back then they had less access to automatic weapons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, an automatic you might have sold was a 45. Mm-hmm. You know, so the firepower makes a difference. Mm-hmm. But back then you had the same amount of beefs. You always had conflicts. Always had people mad at each other. But the availability to a murder weapon was less back then. Right. Now, somebody get mad on a basketball court, you run around.
Right there.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's a book bag.
Yeah. And plus it's more likely to be deadly confrontation. Yeah. In other words, you get shot, I've been shot 3 different times, still living. Yeah. You know, but now, you know, the firepower is so great, you get shot the first time, that's it.
Yeah, you might be gone. And the funny thing about it, though, the statistics say that, like, once you've been shot, like, you're like 30 times more likely to be shot again.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, we got to think about that. And one of the things that I see, like, in our community, too, I think our youth are actually hypnotized by, like, the stuff that's going on the street. So, take, for instance, right? If you go out here right now, right? Summertime coming, right? Who gets to go to Six Flags? Most of the time, It's the drug dealer who making a little bit of money. They ain't making a whole lot of money, but they got a few hoopties from the auction. They can get the Six Flags. They can do what they want to do. But they are actually building rapport with our kids, subconsciously and unconsciously. So it's like, for what I see, is like a little guy come out on the block, they selling drugs out of his house, people running in out of his house, his mother get high, blah, 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 whatever. But these same kids go in that corner and the drug dealer be the one give them $1 to get a Huggy juice and a bag of potato chips. Right? So what do we do in that aspect, whereas though the youth are already being hypnotized because the drug dealers actually be the guys kind of looking out for them, even though he might not be meeting every need. But what can we actually do about that? Because that's a major problem.
I think the major problem is not so much that the guys who hustle are kind to them or give them something. You know, that's good, that they don't let them go hungry. It's the fact that we don't make legitimate avenues open to them so they get their own.
Right.
So they won't have to depend on somebody who, you know, who might lead them astray.
Okay.
You know, so our problem is not so much somebody else being good to them, is we being bad to them. We know we're not getting no opportunity.
Yeah.
So that one path they know pays off, that's hustling.
Yep.
We gotta show them the other paths pay off.
Yeah. And I think it's that instant gratification. I think that's what it is, because like most kids, if they can't put their hand on it, you know, they don't kind of really have no faith in it. They don't believe in it. Because you gotta think, like, basic needs is major. Like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. It's you need food, shelter, safety,
Love and
clean, love, and all that kind of stuff
right.
before you even move to the next level. So we dealing with a major problem. Another question: how do you think the gangs and the gang situation is affecting the violence here in Baltimore City? Because I know that 25 years ago, we didn't have a bunch of gangs, and I don't have a grandfather that was like a Blood or a Crip. I don't have like no homeboys that's my age, 45 years old, that was Bloods, Crips, whatever. We do have a couple of guys that may be like BGF or whatever, but do you think the gangs is driving a lot of the violence in our city?
I think the violence is driving a lot of the gangs. I think it's reversed. I think when you got a hostile environment, you got people who are afraid, there's a lot of paranoia, and people who group together to protect each other. Gangs are good.
Yeah.
The gangs, that mean unity.
Yeah.
Sometimes the things they do to resolve conflicts are bad.
Yeah.
The way they discipline each other, and you know, certain ways to get money, stuff like that. But coming together is almost a natural human attribute.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in fear.
Yeah.
You got areas, we might have got like more gangs in the inner city than they have in the suburbs, because suburbs, people don't feel that fear.
Yeah.
They don't feel that, you know, they don't feel that angst where they got to huddle together and come together to protect each other. So inside the city, you know, you need somebody to watch your back.
Yeah.
You know.
And hey, you know what's so funny about this, Dennis? I swear, man, Uncle T. I don't know what year that was, bro, but the BGF guys were having meetings in Drew Hill Park. I don't know if it was 06, 07, or 08. I don't know if it's 07, 08, and 09. I don't remember. But I remember these meetings in Drew Hill Park. What I do also remember is that we had 2 years with record low homicide. I think we had a year with 237, and then right after that year was like 235. I don't know if it's 07, 08, or 08, 09. I don't know what year it is, right? But what I did believe, like you just said, gangs are good because of unity. I think what was happening was, when they were having those meetings, they were citywide meetings. It was dudes from all over town in that park. And I think what was happening is it was so much intel and it was so much information that if such and such from Lexington Terrace was over on Monument Street, when they went to that meeting, they knew he was there. There was a lot of sanctioning going on. A lot of the homicides was coming down. You was hearing about that culture of BGF in the jail, kind of like on the street. Dude was getting his body beat or whatever the hell, I don't know. But the homicides was at a record low. As soon as they went up there, broke that thing up. I'm not saying that attributed to the homicides, but it felt like it was a direct correlation, because as soon as they broke that system up, I think all of those BGF gangs went into their own little regimes and stuff like that, and it wasn't no more meetings and stuff and no information to be able to squash beefs. For yo to say, yeah, he owed money over east, he can't hide over here, or he robbing over here, or he told over there. It was so much information, dudes couldn't do a lot of the crazy stuff. I don't know if it was a direct correlation with them breaking them meetings up, but I know once those meetings got broken up, homicide started to rise.
And it says something real interesting. I don't know if we caught it, but you asked him a question, and then he put it in the reverse about it's the crime, it's driving the machine. And I'm thinking in terms of me going back into the state system, man, and the gangs weren't in there then, but going back into them, I just seen some guys that used to be on PC, man, now here to the gangs, you know. It's like it became pitiful in the sense of speaking, so much so that you had guys that just didn't know who they were. We suffer from an identity crisis, and you have so many guys join these gangs, man, because they just don't know who they are. Some go in for various reasons. Some are fearful, and they see that the majority of people, and some get in it because their homies in it, but they get in it for all the wrong reason, and they trap themselves in something that they had no knowledge of the extent of where this could go, but they already trapped in. So again, man, it goes down to peer pressure, man, identity. If we can get these youth to come into a knowledge of who they really are, a lot of things will solve themselves. But we up against this monster, and the only ones I believe that's capable and qualified of dealing with it, man, in the sense in which where though they understand, such as myself, because it's almost like you have to become almost like a sacrificial lamb to deal with this monster, man. Absolutely. But your love for the youth has to be that strong that you're doing it. You're not on no selfish stuff. You on some, look, man, you know, we believe that the situation is fixable. So we're going all out to fix it, but that's what we're up against, man. The violence is driving the gangs, not the gangs driving the violence.
Outside of that, I feel like when you say gangs wasn't here 25 years ago, and how you say gangs can be good because it, you know, promotes unity. It's the same thing as when people come together but they have no direction or no leader. So you look at places like, I guess you could say Chicago or other places where gangs started, and then you look at their gang leaders. I feel like Baltimore lacks that, the gang leader, in the sense of, I guess most people won't know, I guess BGF or Black Panthers was like the starters of the WIC program, women, infants, and children. So it's like, it's that direction that they losing. Gangs is the influence that's gonna influence the kids, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, those same gangs that's being driven off violence, we know it was created off community reform and things like that. So I just feel like the same way, you know, Positive Impact 410 challenge, you know, to change. They're gonna have to look at that in some form as the same thing. They get the same benefits from it as joining the BGF, you know what I'm saying? So it's like when you go join BGF, if they're gonna guarantee you eat tonight, you got a place to sleep tonight, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, look at what you're getting from the gang, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it is necessary. When Baltimore riots happened, not one murder happened. Every gang in the city was united downtown. So I think after that, a certain force in the city knew that if anything was to bring the people back together, it would be some form of a gang. Me personally, I think.
And leadership is very important. You know, you spoke about leadership, man. It's so essential. I once heard a quote saying that, you know, a lion can lead a pack of sheep into war and win. But you can't take a sheep to lead a pack of lions in the war and win. So it really gets to, who's leading this.
You're right.
Leadership is very essential when it comes down to, when you speak of gangs, who's leading.
So I got another question.
Wait a minute, on that gang thing, I want to make sure we understand it's the circumstances and the activities is either good or bad. Because it's not a whole lot different between what we call an inner city gang and what college kids call a fraternity. Fraternity, you got all these educated kids, most time they come from good background, but every now and then they do something crazy, you hear about them killing each other. Killing them in
what's called hazing and
stuff like that. So that don't mean the fraternity is bad. I mean, the activity went too far. So unity is always good. Come together, and like the brothers just now said, leadership is very important.
Yes.
But what we need is make sure the leaders lead. Not out of emotion. They out of the internet. Use the internet and choose a course.
Be humble.
That's constructive.
Making sure he's objective.
Would you like the Black Panther? From what I've read on them, they were so unique. And they weren't your average run around in the city kids. These was your educators, These was your motivators. They started stuff on campus grounds, man. They weren't your average leader. They was unique in every sense of the word. So, yeah, I mean, the situation is real, man. And the powers that be knows that it's real.
So back to what you were saying as far as like bringing into those, I just feel like learning who they are. If it was some organization centered around, that also, like them figuring out who they are and what they contribute to their community. So yeah, I think that's one of the biggest crises contributing to the homicide crisis. People not knowing who they are.
And they don't know their options.
Right, yes, that's...
Who wants to be treated unjustly? So when you feel unjust, you want to do something about it. But the key is learning what you should do about it. Don't make the matter worse. Because your response to a situation is either going to make that situation better or worse. Violence makes it worse. The art of war tells you about being able to be able to conquer without violence. And that's, you be strategic. Instead of emotional all the time.
So I got another question. How should law-abiding citizens feel about the violence, and like, what are some of the things you think that they should be looking out for, or some of the things that they should be doing to kind of like help curb it? Because like, we ain't gonna just have challenge for change and positive impact 410 and safe streets. I mean, what is it that regular law-abiding citizens can do, and should they be concerned? Should they have concerns about, the violence?
I think they should be very concerned. I think what we have to do is understand that no matter how protected you are, your house is, it's still vulnerable. Each time somebody else's kid becomes delinquent, then your kid is more vulnerable. Because we don't live in bubbles. You might live in certain neighborhoods, stuff like that. The crime is mobile. It leads from one area to another area. So I think the responsibility they should feel is like try to make sure that if they have a lot, if they have a lot of guidance, they have a lot of whatever their resources, make sure they share with somebody who has a little. Try to even the playing field out a little bit.
That's amazing. What you can say about that, Uncle T?
And that definitely need to be concerned. We once talked about how we have these organizations that starts up, and one of the things you hear when it comes down to mentoring, that we are mentoring at youth risk. But now we live in a city that I believe everybody is at risk. You can walk out your front door and it can happen. We've seen a killing happen the other day. Girl just happened to be in a car. Innocent. Everyone is at risk at this point. And then you have those that's out there that's risking it all for nothing. I mean, for absolutely nothing. So they should be concerned in the sense of participating and not spectating. Not letting the news, pull a blanket over their heads thinking that they are protected because, as Dennis would say, in being in a bubble. No, we have to look at this situation like we are all affected by it because we are one way or another.
And that risk has two connotations to it. At risk usually means somebody at risk of becoming a burglar or a drug dealer or becoming a criminal.
Yeah.
You're also at risk of becoming a victim.
Yeah.
You know, you're at risk of becoming a victim.
Yeah.
'Cause every time somebody perpetrates, then somebody has to be victimized.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not just being this kind.
Interchangeable, huh?
You get out there trying to help deal with the crime problem before it deals with you.
Yeah. That's one thing we always used to say in the shooting responses. I used to always say, like, don't wait until the trouble come knocking on your door to come out here to promote safe streets, to build awareness about shootings and homicides and stuff like that being normal. Don't wait till it knock on your door. And I always tell people how real it is for safe streets guys, because I don't think there's a guy that work here that hasn't had a family member or a friend or maybe themselves.
You know, my son was murdered on the street. Until I had to see his body there with them bullet holes in him, you know, I could have gotten better, but I allowed it to make me better. And because of that tragedy, Challenge to Change was birthed forth. Because I don't want to see that. I don't want to see another parent had to go through what I went through during that ordeal. So I mean, sometimes it hits home for the better in some cases, and for mine, that was definitely that case.
Yeah. Cause I tell people all the time, I realized how strong black man had to be when his sister got killed on Rose Street. Because after she got killed, you know, he got cousins that coming from up down south and Virginia and North Carolina, and he had to deal with telling them, nah, bro, that's dead. I know what happened. Leave it alone. And also deal with his sister's death. And had to still mediate conflicts and be around here standing on the corner with his sister.
That's part of the leadership we was talking about. You heard the brother say this earlier. When something happens to somebody, you know, the retaliation is the first emotional impulse you got. What they did to mine, I'm going to do it to them.
Yeah.
It's not that you're helping the one. Who's going to take his children? You're in prison for killing somebody. Who's going to take his mother and his children? You know, who will make sure that his goals get achieved even though he's not here? So the best way to honor somebody you really care about, you know, if you're right there and you see him getting ready to get hurt, you stop it, of course stop it. Once it gets done, understand it's done.
Yeah.
Understand that, you know, some things you ain't ready to, you know what I mean, reverse.
Yeah.
And the important thing after that is making sure the family, make sure those he would have took care of, make sure they taken care of. You know, and put your emotions in check.
Yeah, that's major. So talk a little bit about, when we talk about, you know, the city being in crisis and we talking about this violence and stuff like that, talk a little bit about, you know, the morals and principles associated with it and the difference between morals and principles and the codes and the values, you know, as far as like the violence in the street. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think some of those what's called music executives should be held accountable because they promoting that. They send out, they call them morals and principles, things really nothing but values and codes. You know, morals and principles, you know, you don't kill somebody, tell me you're a man of honor, you know, killing them makes you a man of honor, because of this and that, you know. So what they call street credibility is not really street credibility. Credibility means you're reliable, credible, the word credible means truth, trustworthy. You know, so some of the things that people are doing and reasons why they revere it is way off base. You know, if you got morals and principles, your goal is every day you get up is to try to make the world a better place.
Right.
That's what morals do, that's what principles do.
Right.
Even at your own expense.
Right.
You try to help, you don't try to hurt.
Absolutely.
But codes and values are different. Codes and values serve your own purpose. So, you know, like say the police got a code. Even though they sworn to protect and serve, stuff like that, they won't tell on each other.
Right.
That's a code. So even though they know their police robbing people, selling dope and stuff like that, you know, what comes first? Their code, not their principles, you know, not their moral. So you know, we got to watch, make sure we don't get confused about the codes, and principles.
And honor and dishonor. Excuse me, cut you off, Dave, but honor and dishonor. You know, he spoke about how, you know, how do you honor your friend when he lose his main man, when he lose his brother? You know, and there's more ways that you can honor a man, and there's many ways you can dishonor him. You know, do we think in terms, do we ever really slow down and think in terms that I can honor him better by taking care of his children? You know, and some of the funerals I done gave in the last 3 years, I done gave almost 5 funerals, and that's one of the things I implement in that funeral, is that come up here, bring that man child up here, and you drop money at that child's feet so they can have a future set aside for them. They can build a trust fund for them. That's one of the things I emphasize the most. This is how you honor your man.
Yeah.
You know, don't go out there and have to kill, you know, feel like you have to kill to honor him.
Right.
That's not honoring him. So it's like honor and respect. All these things are just strangely mixed now, and these kids don't know how to differentiate the two because of a lot of the video playing, man. You know, these guys just misappropriating words, man, and it's like.
And that's a part where, like, between then and now, different stuff was cool back then. They make like drugs and violence. That's the cool now to kids. Like, that's what the problem is. Like you were saying with the executive producers. Ever since the dawn of time, music played a role in the state of the world. Back in the 80s, the 70s, you listen to that music. We still listen to y'all music today. That's the music that helped us procreate. That's still bringing people, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be kids. He going to know the music that y'all listen to, whether it's 1 or 2 songs. So it's like now today with you looking at the rapper who's saying he's doing this and that and how much drugs he's moving, and then, you know, he go home, or like Jeezy, for instance. Trap or die, but his son is a college graduate. Like, why are you telling our sons trap or die? And you can send your son to college. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You see it all the time. You see guys come on, honor up, go hard. They got a chauffeur outside, they got a limousine, got bodyguards. You know, they got all that security on them, and they telling the kids who don't have any security, you know, to go hard.
Right,
you know, once you go hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Once you go hard. When it comes down to it, right, we did a lot of talking about, you know, the stuff, the violence that's plaguing our city. We talked a lot about some of the underlying issues. So I want to talk a little bit about solutions. What do you guys think about solutions? So, like, I can go first if you want me to. When I think about safe streets, right, and I think about solutions, I think Safe Streets has a good solution because the program actually hires individuals from their own neighborhood to do conflict mediation, to connect guys to resources. And I think one of the bigger solutions is what we actually are doing and partaking in with Positive Impact 411, 410 Challenge to Change, because change is going to have to come from everywhere. We're going to have to try to help these kids from many different aspects. And like I talked about poverty, like I talked about substance abuse, we talked about mental health, we talked about trauma. I just believe that all of the community organizations have to get away from working in silos. And I think that when we do encounter a kid in the street, I think that we have to be super duper ready to help and to have those resources in place. So if you're doing mental health work and you doing homelessness work and I'm doing violence prevention, I think all of those programs need to be taught, and I think it need to be a major database where people is entering information about the individuals we encounter, so everybody can know what this individual actually looks like, what he's been through when we get to working with him. That's what I believe, like, with some of the solutions.
You know, it's an African proverb say it takes a village to raise a child. And in this case, man, with the type of monster we're dealing with now, man, it's going to have to take the whole state, if not the whole country. This is a very serious situation when it comes down to urban neighborhood issues. I mean, I try to be authentic. You know, I try to, you know, we have to be transparent with this generation. And being transparent with this generation, you know, I have a past. And I know that the past I have traveled, man, left me in some real dark holes, man. You know, and I'm blessed and grateful to have come out of those holes just to be in this unique generation right now. So when it comes down to talking about solution, one of the things I can contribute more than anything, and that is all of me. You know, you have to give your all. You have to be willing to, you know, sacrifice if necessary. The thing is that you have to act, the individual have to ask themselves what it means to the individual to help this next person to prevent from going down that dark hole that they have gone into. Mm-hmm. So it's going to have to take a unified effort. Mm-hmm. And so with Positive, Impact, 410, Challenge the Change, Safe Street, and many other organizations that's out there, man, that's really in it wholeheartedly, where you got your heart in it, and not your pockets, and not what can come out of this for me, until we get off that selfish note and get on some real serving. That is when I believe ultimate change is going to take its course.
Absolutely.
I think it'll take us to realize that it can't be a part-time effort.
Exactly.
It'll take all of us to do everything we know. All of us doing everything we know on a continuous basis. I mean, getting up in the morning, trying to find a way and staying consistent all day long. Because the problem is serious. It's fixable if we do it like that. If we put everything we have behind it and try hard as we can, you know, we can fix it. The main problem is mindset. The wrong mindset. A lot of people think that they have so limited options. They think violence, you know, that's what we're trying to correct. We're trying to correct the mindset. And in order to do that, we have to be consistent. Being consistent means do two different things. It means keep on doing the same thing. It also means matching up your example, how you act with what you say. We have to be consistent with what we say. They hear talk, they got to see us walk the same way.
Be the change that you're trying to see.
You can't, don't be out there telling the kid, stay out that corner if you want the one to supply in the corner. You don't have that right. You know what I mean? So what we got to do is be consistent. You made your mind up, you want to try to make something happen, let's make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't tell the children's, man, do as I say and not as I do, without considering that what you're doing is speaking more volume than what you can ever say out of your mouth. Because they see what you do, not what you say.
The actions.
That's the a proverb says, when actions speak, words are silent.
That's some food for thought.
So we just had a whole bunch of knowledge just come through here. We got Brother Dennis Wise, Positive Impact 410. We got Brother Uncle T, Challenge the Change, here with Safe Streets. It's the Tater Barksdale Podcast. We out.
Oh my God, they shooting.